Max. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. Kraus, welcome. Kathy, lovely as always. Donnie Zeke, welcome. Kathy, are you still at work or did you make your way out of there? Yo, you're at the airport. You made your way out of there. Kraus. Traffic is so bad. I'm sure it is. Ritz, welcome. Leela, or Lele, hi. Ritz, again, hi. Kraus, you're going to go for a run again, and I'm going to be your podcast. That is amazing. While I'm reading, it's Lily. Let's try that. I hope that works. Lily. There we go. Abby, hi. Joel, welcome. Good to see you. Who's somebody's trying to fight sleep? Kraus, you're trying to fight sleep. It's the only way you know how. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Alex Pearson, hi from the UK. How are things in the United Kingdom? Charlie, welcome. Joel, I'm great. Emra, what's good? What is good? I mowed the lawn today. That was good. Miguel, so glad you're here. HC, hey, how are you? Sergio, I am so glad you were able to catch the live. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Alex, they're good. Haha, it's bedtime here. I'm sure it is. Well, you're in for a story. Oh, Kathy, you flipped a patient off today. That's funny. That is actually funny. Chan's World, hi to you. Ed, thank you for following. Ladybug, thanks. They came from Warby Parker. I think it's called Baird is the name. You learned to do a backflip today, RXZY. That's great. Juanita, thank you. Alex Pearson, yes, I have had a good day today. I went to work. I went to the gym. I did not run today. I had to give my legs a day off. It's been about 3 weeks, so I needed to back off. My knees were hurting a little bit. Multi, welcome. How are you? Chans, it's morning for you. What part of the world are you coming from? Chans, where are you? Oceana, hi. Ooh, I love that name. How are you? Molly Birch, welcome. Oh, Australia, nice. What, Multi? What am I guessing? Lily, the time where I am is, what time is it? 7:02 p.m. It's midnight in Scotland. Oceana, my family heritage is Scottish. I have never been to Scotland. I very much want to go. Cheeto Puff Puff, you are here to annoy me. Well, thank you for letting us know. Thanks, Kathy. On your way to the airport, bored in traffic, sending a cowboy hat. I love it. Multi, you went on the tallest roller coaster in England and you're regretting your life choices. Abby, thank you. Kathy, you're eating combos. What flavor? Mayonnaise. Welcome. How are you? Mayonnaise, I used one of your comments today and it went over pretty well. Pretty darn well. Joe, no more energy drinks. You got that right. Pizza flavor. See, Kathy, good choice. Most excellent choice in the combo. Faustina, hi. Moose. Hi. Bonjour. What did I have for lunch? What did I have for lunch today? I had chicken and rice for dinner. Lunch. Oh, not that rogue. I had a roast beef sandwich. How boring is that? Jonathan Bailey's bum hair. So happy to see you. Jonathan, not the bum hair Jonathan, but the other Jonathan, my age, I am 55. Jonathan Bailey's bum hair, the other Jonathan, the party has started. Kathy, you had a fruit cup that you stole from the patient you flipped off. You naughty, naughty, naughty person. Multi, what's the name of the roller coaster that you went on that was a poor life choice? Ooh, vodka. Welcome. Welcome to the party. Caravanek, what work do I do? I am in hospitality. It was a good day in the hospitality world. Kraus, you're running in the rain. I'm actually jealous. That would have made me rethink my decision to not run today. Oh, thanks, Jonathan. You were glad to see the black glasses. Good. Miley or Millie, not sure which one. Hello. AMNA. How are you? Glad to see you. Rex, hello from Greece. That's the first time. Rex, I think you're the first from Greece to officially announce themselves. Hope you're doing well. How are things in Greece? What does it mean, hospitality? Service industry. I'm in the service industry. Lori, hey. Charlie from Poland. Wow, we've got new countries. So Poland, first time from Poland. Welcome, thank you. Denmark, you're BA, you are not the first. We have had people from Denmark here, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Jonathan, first from Belgium, quite possibly. No one's ever announced it. Sonic, how are you? The roller coaster is called Hyperia. I'll have to put that in the back of my head because the scarier the better, as far as I'm concerned. To be very honest. Chan's World, thank you for the roses. Oh, London in the house. Wyatt, welcome. Why is it so early? Because I need to sleep. That's why it's so early. I hope you're okay with it. Molly, Mexico, checking in. What part of Mexico? Huge place. London times 2, Mika. Chan's World, you would never go on a roller coaster. No amount of money would convince you. Fair enough. I am not that way. You wouldn't even have to pay me to get me on a roller coaster. I actually really dig them. London times 3. We got London like in the house. South Africa. There we go. Here's a new one. Caravanerk 123. I'm sorry I butchered your name. I am slow. But welcome from South Africa. Jonathan's going to see Beyonce. Tell her hi from the guy in the elevator. From Boston. Kraus, I'm going to go in your pocket. That's why I'm Polly Pocket Andy. I can slide right into Kraus's pocket. She pops her earbuds in and off she goes with me in the pocket. What about Sweden? Vodka, we have had Sweden before, but not someone from Sweden who proclaimed their name to be vodka. That's impressive. It makes the name even better. Plastic Noah, geography. Yes to geography. Faustina, welcome back. You were here with us last night. What music genre do I like? 80s alternative is my absolute favorite, but if you've watched my TikTok, you can tell it is all over the place. Oceana, you love the shirt. Thank you. I ran into, I don't know if, like the past 3 or 4 nights, I've worn basically the same shirt that's in a different color every night. And it's because I went into TJ Maxx and I hit the mother load. TJ Maxx, for those of you who are not in the United States, is like a discount clothing mecca. And they were all on clearance. This one style of t-shirt that I love, all on clearance, all $9.99. And I just went, yes, 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 yes. And they are so freaking comfortable. Hey! Jonathan, what state do you live in? I am in New England, and I'm not going to get any closer than that in terms of actually saying it. But if you, again, watch my content, you'll figure it out. Oh, here in the UK, it's TK. TK what? Kathy, you got to go to TJ Maxx when you get back. Seriously, TJ Maxx, like, you can thank my mom. If I drive past one, I will go in it. Thanks to my mother. My mother goes to TJ Maxx every single day because she is convinced that she's going to find it. Well, she doesn't even have to be convinced. She does. My mom dresses quite well, quite nice. And it's because she is like bum rushing the door of TJ Maxx every day. TK Maxx. No, I did not know that that's what it was called in London. But I did know that it originated, the chain originated in New England. There's actually a grouping, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, I think Ross was part of it at one point. Talbot's is a women's clothier, and there's a couple of others that were all started in New England. Mayonnaise, I wasn't at my desk long enough today to see if you were there. I apologize for not checking. I got to the hotel today, and they were cranking probably 250 people eating brunch. And the dishwasher had called out sick. So I immediately started washing dishes. And I washed dishes for like something like 3 hours straight, and I had the time of my life. I loved it. How's my day been so far? It's been great. I got to wash dishes all morning. In Mexico, TJ Maxx is Grupo Oxo. Nice. Thank you, Kathy, for the coffee magic. Sonic, you got watching another Love Island so you can talk to your friend about it. I love that. Kathy. Cheeto Puff Puff, you need advice on dating. Well, you got a whole community of many, many, many people who are here. Ask away. Just don't hog up the chat because they'll get angry. Chains World, everyone at your job is sick, including you. I'm sorry. Dr. McStuffins, are you ready to mingle? Perhaps. Megan, happy Sunday. How are you? Glad you're here. JKKJOJO, my sexuality. There is an interesting video that I actually posted today that addresses that exact subject. I encourage you to go and watch it. Click like, please. Can you whistle? Poorly. See, it's not all that impressive. What shoes do you run in, Kraus? I run in Hoka's. Molly, you gotta go. See ya. Sonic, my energy is infectious. It's good. Consider me a disease. Thanks, Jonathan. Oh, you saw the one from the gym? I have to say this. I was talking to someone, early on when I started lifting, you see changes. And they're pretty quick when you see them. And it's good. And then it just kind of, like, you don't notice it anymore. The past 2 weeks have been significant in terms of my body changing. And I like it. Mayonnaise, you'll look tomorrow when you're under the desk again. You'll probably have a greater opportunity. I am going to be a little late for work tomorrow. But I don't know who I tell. I'm the boss. Who am I supposed to let know? I think I'll let Lori know. And then I'll be okay. I'll be covered. Someone likes my hair, but your name is an emoji, and I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Thank you for liking my hair. Jonathan, I appreciate it too, because if it was a chat full of haters and I was having to defend myself all the time, it would be a totally different vibe. We got there one night, actually. Jane, what do I smell like? Versace Eros 1 and Dove for sensitive skin. Some coconut scented shampoo. So imagine all that pulled together. That's what I smell like. KMEI. Thank you. Pause, please. Email. For those of you who enjoy the AMSR, I will clue you in. Or you'll get it. It's just going to take a moment. All right, sorry about that. Astrid, you missed the ASMR. Well, many people, I mean, honestly, this book, and that was actually what I was, before I start reading tonight, it's 7:18, yeah. Before I start reading tonight, I want to ask you, we are about halfway through the book. We will be more than halfway through the book by the time I finish tonight. But this is not a book that, it's serious. I mean, it's a lovely, 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 lovely story. We all knew what we were getting into when we started reading it. It's emotional. Given. I am curious because I'm reading a lot longer than I normally do read. And this book is heavy. ish. So I am curious if you're actually still enjoying me reading it, because I'm just curious. You know, I love the comments where people say you should do audiobooks and things like that. Well, this is really a test to it. This is a hard book to read publicly, so I want to know if you're enjoying it. Gasco, hi from Montreal. How are you? Cheeto Puff Puff, yes, we have read the first 10 or so, 10 chapters of Charlotte's Web. Abby, you're enjoying it? Max, you're enjoying it too. Great. Andy's Cup. Go back to June, please. You're embarrassing me, but I think you like it. Multi, you're enjoying it. Thank you. Oh, that's right, Andy. You can't change it. I forgot. The Cup. There you go, Multi. That I can actually say that. I couldn't say the name because it had my name in it, and I know he was referencing. So if I can say The Cup, he can keep the name, I guess. James, how are you? Yes, Cheeto Puff Puff, I blush with ease. Extreme ease. Sonic, I need to change that. And I will. I absolutely will. There's still a lot of people joining, so I will do that. Don't you fret. It will happen. Wait. Andy would someday invite people to your live. We may do that. We may do that. Apple, thank you. Thank you for the comment on the shirt. Fret not. I do fret. I worry about stuff like that, Sonic. Because I don't want anyone to... I appreciate you actually asking, because it's good. Leap, I bet you would. The Cup. No. I left the top off the lip gloss and it dried out. How's that? Sonic, I can always do better. I apologize. I am sorry. It doesn't make anything okay. Spit on it, Cup. Damn it! He baited me and now I'm in. Ugh. Am I hearing Tennessee or Texas? Leap, neither. Well, I guess you're kind of close with Tennessee. I am from North Carolina originally. Kathy, you're one to talk. Kathy's been on a roll. Kathy's been on her wild side the past 2 days. Making me blush. And there goes the Cup, doing the spit thing. Come on, dude. Stop. At ISC_06. Can I see younger pictures of you? I'm actually working on that. This is a long answer. Many people know that. There's not that many pictures of me when I was younger that are available. I have one, but that picture has got other people in it, and I'm having a hard time making the picture make sense and leaving them out. So I'm waiting to hear back from them if they are okay with me sharing it. So, Astrid, little me. I do have a really cute picture of me and my sister when I was like super little, but no one wants to see that. Like I was like 3. Chan's World, it's just the right thing to do. Priest, welcome. You know, Kathy, the older me, I will tell you, like, all these questions about seeing, can you cover their faces with a marker? I, yeah, I could do that. I just don't, it skeeves me out. Y'all, I'm old enough to know what it was like before the internet. And when you see pictures with black bars on them, it usually means somebody's going to jail. I don't want to do that. Faustina, I will not play music until after I read, and I will read in approximately 6 minutes. Do the Regina George method. Oh, the queen herself. I am Lana Del Rey's ideal man. I get that often. Mayonnaise, sleep well, exams take priority. Jane, you wish someone would ask you before they posted your face all over social media. I posted my face by volunteer measures. My face, my chest, my abs, my feet, my tattoo, my tan line. Multi, thank you. Ugh. Cup. Do you realize how long it would take to fill that cup? Chan's world, let me tell you something. You may be insecure. Y'all will not believe this, but I swear it is true. Up until I started this TikTok account, I had never walked outside of my house without my shirt on, including the beach. Myth for color. Hey, James, you will see it. You will see the tattoo. You just have to hang in for the story. Nadia. Astrid, how are you? Tattoo. It's not a bad boy tattoo at all. It's actually a quite silly tattoo. Beatable. Oh, an early... Yes, very early live. Do I have a favorite poet? My favorite poet is probably Robert Frost, actually. Either... No, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. The veins are popping today because it was Arms Day. So they are popping. Something fierce. Thank you, Ellie. What chapters are we reading this Andy Priest or this evening? It's chapter 11 through 15. 11 through 15. Should you get a tramp stamp? I actually find them kind of sexy. I am not authorizing your getting one. Totally up to you. You need a new necklace. Nadia. I haven't had to do that in a while. No one's asked for it. And I had my nails done. Fran Kraus is here. Kraus is running, and she is listening to this as if it were a podcast. So, thanks for shouting her out. I know she's going to appreciate hearing it. Wow, those veins are popping out tonight. They really are. I remind you of Matt King from Vlog Squad. I don't know who that is. BEL55 How are you this Sunday night? I am incredible. You find them what? Does that mean you're bi? I am bi, but I'm not sure what you're referencing. Have I seen 50 Shades of Grey? No, I have not. Kraus, you're back. You had to run, because it's pouring rain. Well, I was just finished telling everybody that you were listening to us like a podcast. Your teacher recommends you what? Your teacher recommended you what? I bet your teacher follows me on TikTok. You love the blanket. The blanket was made by my great-grandmother. Thank you. Kathy, can I be your boss? I'll listen to you. Kraus, Twitter. Astrid, thank you. You like the glasses, thank you. Multi, thank you. Andy, tell us about the first time you got on a Ferris wheel. All right. It was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I don't remember how old I was, but I do remember being quite terrified. I said earlier that I love roller coasters, and I do. I do not enjoy Ferris wheels, and I do not enjoy gondolas, because there is something about the mechanics of the bucket that very much make me feel like I am in a bucket that is getting ready to fall to the earth at a rapid pace. But the first Ferris wheel, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a place called the Boardwalk Pavilion, was an amusement park, and I was on it with my dad. And he was laughing at me because I had the death grip on the bar. My first roller coaster was something called White Lightning, which is a moonshine reference, at a place called Carowinds, another theme park on the North Carolina, South Carolina border. And the way this roller coaster went, it did nothing. It just did a loop, like started, and it went from like 0 to 100, like in like 3 seconds flat. And you went upside down and up a hill and then backwards through it again and then ended. That was it. That was the whole thing. But the kitschy thing was you get loaded in the roller coaster cars and the person running the thing would go, "Lightning strikes now." Boom, off you'd go. It was kind of fun. Kathy, you're moving over to your laptop. Your phone is lagging. Good for you. You are a techie, Kathy. You should be called White Lightning. Lightning strikes now. I gotta, 7:33. It is time for me to start reading. All right. I have to get water because this book induces cottonmouth, because I'm just very much trying not to cry. Because we all know where this goes. All right, y'all. Settle in. Be kind to one another. Moderators, do your thing if people start acting up. Time to read. Chapter 11, The Miracle. The next day was foggy. Everything on the farm was dripping wet. The grass looked like a magic carpet. The asparagus patch looked like a silver forest. On foggy mornings, Charlotte's Webb was truly a thing of beauty. This morning, each thin strand was decorated with dozens of tiny beads of water. The web glistened in the light and made a pattern of loveliness and mystery. Like a delicate veil, even Lurvy, who wasn't particularly interested in beauty, noticed the web when he came with the pig's breakfast. He noted how clearly it showed up, and he noted how big and carefully built it was. And then he took another look, and he saw something that made him set his pail down. There, in the center of the web, neatly woven in block letters, was a message. It said, "Some pig." Lurvy felt weak. He brushed his hand across the eyes and stared harder at Charlotte's Web. "I'm seeing things," he whispered. He dropped to his knees and uttered a short prayer, then forgetting all about Wilbur's breakfast, he walked back to the house and called Mr. Zuckerman. I think you'd better come down to the pig pen," he said. "What's the trouble?" said Mr. Zuckerman. "Anything wrong with the pig?" "Not exactly," said Lurvy. "Come and see for yourself." The two men walked silently down to Wilbur's yard. Lurvy pointed to the spider's web. "Do you see what I see?" he asked. Zuckerman stared at the writing on the web. Then he murmured the words, "Some pig." Then he looked at Lurvy. Then they both began to tremble. Charlotte, sleepy after her night's excursions, smiled as she watched. Wilbur came and stood directly under the web. "Some pig," muttered Lurvy in a low voice. "Some pig," whispered Mr. Zuckerman. They stared and stared for a long time at Wilbur. Then they stared at Charlotte. "You don't suppose that spider," began Mr. Zuckerman, but he shook his head and didn't finish the sentence. Instead, he walked solemnly back to the house and spoke to his wife. "Edith, something has happened," he said in a weak voice. He went into the living room and sat down, and Mrs. Zuckerman followed. "I've got something to tell you, Edith," he said. "You better sit down." Mrs. Zuckerman sank into a chair. She looked pale and frightened. "Edith," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, "I think you had best be told that we have a very unusual pig." A look of complete bewilderment came over Mrs. Zuckerman's face. "Homer Zuckerman, what in the world are you talking about?" she said. "This is a very serious thing, Edith," he replied. "Our pig is completely out of the ordinary." "What's unusual about the pig?" asked Mrs. Zuckerman, who was beginning to recover from her scare. "Well, I don't really know yet," said Mr. Zuckerman, "but we have received a sign, Edith. A mysterious sign. A miracle has happened on this farm. There is a large spider's web in the doorway of the barn cellar right over the pig pen, and when Lurvy went to feed the pig this morning, he noticed the web because it was foggy. And you know how a spider's web looks very distinct in a fog. And right sprang in the middle of the web, there are the words, "some pig." The words were woven right into the web. They were actually part of the web, Edith. I know because I've been down there and seen them. It says "some pig." Just as clear as can be. There can be no mistake about it. A miracle has happened and a sign has occurred here on earth, right on our farm, and we have no ordinary pig. "Well," said Mrs. Zuckerman, "it seems to me you're a little off. It seems to me we have no ordinary spider." "Oh no," said Zuckerman, "it's the pig. That's unusual. It says so, right there in the middle of the web." "Maybe so," said Mrs. Zuckerman. "Just the same, I intend to have a look at that spider." "It's just a common gray spider," said Zuckerman. They got up, and together they walked down to Wilbur's yard. "You see, Edith? It's just a common gray spider." Wilbur was pleased to receive so much attention. Lurvy was still standing there, and Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman, all three, stood for about an hour reading the words on the web over and over and watching Wilbur. Charlotte was delighted with the way her trick was working. She sat without moving a muscle and listened to the conversations of the people. When a small fly blundered into the web just beyond the word pig, Charlotte dropped quickly down, rolled the fly up, and carried it out of the way. After a while, the fog lifted, the web dried off, and the words didn't show up so plainly. The Zuckermans and Lurvy walked back to the house just before they left the pig pen. Mr. Zuckerman took one last look at Wilbur. "You know," he said, in an important voice, "I've thought all along that that pig of ours was an extra good one. He's a solid pig. That pig is as solid as they come. You notice how solid he is around the shoulders, Lurvy?" Sure I do," said Lurvy. "I've always noticed that pig. He's quite a pig." "He's long and he's smooth," said Zuckerman. "That's right," agreed Lurvy. "He's as smooth as they come. He's some pig." When Mr. Zuckerman got back to the house, he took off his work clothes, put on his best suit, then he got into his car and he drove to the minister's house. He stayed for an hour and explained to the minister that a miracle had happened on the farm. "So far," said Zuckerman, "only 4 people on earth know about this miracle. Myself, my wife Edith, my hired man Lurvy, and you." "Don't tell anybody else," said the minister. "We don't know what it means yet. But perhaps, if I give thought to it, I can explain it in my sermon next Sunday. There can be no doubt that you have a most unusual pig. I intend to speak about it in my sermon and point out the fact that this community has been visited with a wondrous animal. By the way, does the pig have a name?" "Why, yes," said Mr. Zuckerman. "My little niece calls him Wilbur. She's a rather queer child, full of notions. She raised the pig on a bottle, and I bought him from her when he was a month old." He shook hands with the minister and left. Secrets are hard to keep. Long before Sunday came, the news spread all over the county. Everybody knew that a sign had appeared in a spider's web on the Zuckerman place. Everybody knew that the Zuckermans had a wondrous pig. People came from miles around to look at Wilbur, to read the words on Charlotte's web. The Zuckermans' driveway was full of cars and trucks from morning till night. Fords and Chevys and Buick Roadmasters and GMC pickups and Plymouths and Studebakers and Packards and DeSotos with gyromatic transmissions and Oldsmobiles with rocket engines and Jeep station wagons and Pontiacs. The news of the wonderful pig spread clear up into the hills, and farmers came rattling down in buggies and buckboards to stand hour after hour at Wilbur's pen, admiring the miraculous animal. All said they had never seen such a pig before in their lives. When Fern told her mother that Avery had tried to hit the Zuckerman spider with a stick, Mrs. Arable was so shocked that she sent Avery to bed without any supper as punishment. In the days that followed, Mr. Zuckerman was so busy entertaining visitors that he neglected his farm work. He wore his good clothes all the time now, got right into them when he got up in the morning. Mrs. Zuckerman prepared special meals for Wilbur. Lurvy shaved and got a haircut, and his principal farm duty was to feed the pig while people looked on. Mr. Zuckerman ordered Lurvy to increase Wilbur's feedings from 3 meals a day to 4 meals a day. The Zuckermans were so busy with visitors they forgot about other things on the farm. The blackberries got ripe, and Mrs. Zuckerman failed to put up any blackberry jam. The corn needed hoeing, and Lurvy didn't find time to hoe it. On Sunday, the church was full. The minister explained the miracle. He said that the words on the spider's web proved that human beings must always be on the watch for the coming of wonders. All in all, the Zuckerman's pig pen was the center of attraction. Fern was happy, for she felt that Charlotte's trick was working and that Wilbur's life would be saved. But she found that the barn was not nearly as pleasant. Too many people. She liked it better when she could be alone with her friends, the animals. Chapter 12, a meeting. One evening, a few days after the writing had appeared in Charlotte's Web, the spider called a meeting of all the animals in the barn cellar. I shall begin by calling the roll. Wilbur. Here, said the pig. Gander. Here, 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 said the gander. You sound like 3 ganders, muttered Charlotte. Why can't you just say here? Why do you have to repeat everything? It's my idiosyncrasy, replied the gander. Goose, said Charlotte. Here, 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 said the goose. Charlotte glared at her. Goslings, 1 through 7. Beep, 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 said the goslings. This is getting to be quite a meeting, said Charlotte. Anybody would think we had 3 ganders, 3 geese, and 21 goslings. Sheep? Hee, answered the sheep all together. Lambs? Hee, answered the lambs all together. Templeton? No answer. Templeton? No answer. Templeton? No answer. Well, we are all here except the rat, said Charlotte. I guess we can proceed without him. Now, all of you must have noticed what's been going on around here the last few days. The message I wrote in my web, praising Wilbur, has been received. The Zuckermans have fallen for it, and so has everybody else. Zuckerman thinks Wilbur is an unusual pig. Therefore, he won't want to kill him and eat him. I dare say my trick will work, and Wilbur's life can be saved. Hooray! Cried everybody. Thank you very much, said Charlotte. Now, I called this meeting in order to get suggestions. I need new ideas for the web. People are already getting sick of reading the same words, some pig. If anybody can think of another message or remark, I'll be glad to weave it into the web. Any suggestions for a new slogan? How about Pig Supreme? Asked one of the lambs. No good, said Charlotte. It sounds like a rich dessert. How about Terrific, Terrific, Terrific? Asked the goose. Cut that down to one terrific, and it will do very nicely, said Charlotte. I think terrific might impress Zuckerman. But Charlotte, said Wilbur, I'm not terrific. That doesn't make a particle of difference, replied Charlotte. Not a particle. People believe almost anything they see in print. Does anybody here know how to spell terrific? I think, said the gander, it's T-E-E-R-R-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I-I double F, double I, double C, 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 C. What kind of an acrobat do you think I am? Said Charlotte in disgust. I would have to have St. Vitus dance to weave a word like that into my web. Sorry, said the gander. Then the oldest sheep spoke up. I agree that there should be something new written in the web if Wilbur's life is to be saved. And if Charlotte needs help in finding words, I think we can get it from our friend Templeton. The rat visits the dump regularly and has access to old magazines. He can tear out bits of advertisements and bring them up here to the barn cellar so that Charlotte can have something to copy. Good idea, said Charlotte, but I'm not sure Templeton will be willing to help. You know how he is, always looking out for himself, never thinking of the other fellow. I bet I can get him to help, said the old sheep. I'll appeal to his baser instincts, of which he has plenty. Here he comes now. Everybody keep quiet while I put the matter up to him. The rat entered the barn the way he always did, creeping along close to the wall. What's up? He asked, seeing the animals assembled. We're holding a directors' meeting, replied the old sheep. Well, break it up, said Templeton. Meetings bore me. And the rat began to climb a rope that hung against the wall. Look, said the old sheep. Next time you go to the dump, Templeton, bring back a clipping from a magazine. Charlotte needs new ideas so she can write messages in her web and save Wilbur's life. Let him die, said the rat. I should worry. You'll worry all right when next winter comes, said the sheep. You'll worry all right on a 0 morning next January when Wilbur is dead and nobody comes down here with a nice pail of warm slops to pour into your trough. Wilbur's leftover food is your chief source of supply, Templeton. You know that. Wilbur's food is your food. Therefore, Wilbur's destiny and your destiny are closely linked. If Wilbur is killed and his trough stays empty day after day, you'll grow so thin we can look right through you, your stomach, and see objects on the other side. Templeton's whiskers quivered. Maybe you're right, he said gruffly. I'm making a trip to the dump tomorrow morning. I'll bring back a magazine clipping if I find one. Thanks, said Charlotte. The meeting is now adjourned. I have a busy evening ahead of me. I've got to tear my web apart and write terrific. Wilbur blushed. But I'm not terrific, Charlotte. I'm just about average for a pig. You're terrific as far as I'm concerned, replied Charlotte sweetly. And that's what counts. You're my best friend, and I think you're sensational. Now stop arguing and go get some sleep. Chapter 13, Good Progress. Far into the night, while the other creatures slept, Charlotte worked on her web. First, she ripped out a few of the orb lines near the center. She left the radial lines alone, as they were needed for support. As she worked, her 8 legs were a great help to her. So were her teeth. She loved to weave, and she was an expert at it. When she was finished ripping things out, her web looked something like this. A spider can produce several kinds of thread. She uses a dry, tough thread for her foundation lines, and she uses a sticky thread for snare lines, and the ones that catch and hold insects. Charlotte decided to use her dry thread for writing the new message. If I write the word terrific with sticky thread, she thought, every bug that comes along will get stuck in it and spoil the effect. Now let's see. The first letter is T. Charlotte climbed to a point at the top left-hand side of the web. Swinging her sprinters into position, she attached her thread and then dropped down. As she dropped, her spinning tubes went into action and she let out thread. At the bottom, she attached the thread. This formed the upright part of the letter T. Charlotte was not satisfied, however. She climbed up and made another attachment, right next to the first. Then she carried the line down so that she had a double line instead of a single line. It will show up better if I make the whole thing with double lines. She climbed back up, moved over about an inch to the left, touched her spinnerets to the web, and then carried a line across the right, forming the top of the T. She repeated this, making it double. Her 8 legs were very busy helping. Now for the E. Charlotte got so interested in her work, she began to talk to herself, as though to cheer herself on. If you had been sitting quietly in the barn cellar that evening, you would have heard something like this. Now for the R. Now for the R. Up we go. Attach, descend, pay outline. Whoa, attach, good, up you go. Repeat, attach, descend, pay outline. Whoa, girl, steady now. Attach, climb, attach. Over to the right, pay outline, attach. Now right and down and swing the loop and around and around. Now into the left, attach, climb, repeat. Okay, easy. Keep those lines together. Now then, and down for the leg of the R. Pay outline. Whoa, attach, ascend, repeat. Good girl. And so, talking to herself, the spider worked at her difficult task. When it was completed, she felt hungry. She ate a small bug that she had been saving. Then she slept. Next morning, Wilbur arose and stood beneath the web. He breathed the morning air into his lungs. Drops of dew catching the sun made the web stand out clearly. When Lurvy arrived with breakfast, there was a handsome pig, and over him, woven neatly in block letters, was the word terrific. Another miracle. Lurvy rushed and called Mr. Zuckerman. Mr. Zuckerman rushed and called Mrs. Zuckerman. Mrs. Zuckerman ran to the phone and called the Arables. The Arables climbed into their truck and hurried over. Everybody stood at the pig pen and stared at the web and read the word over and over, while Wilbur, who really felt terrific, stood quietly, swelling out his chest and swinging his snout from side to side. Terrific, breathed Zuckerman in a joyful admiration. Edith, you'd better phone the reporter on the Weekly Chronicle and tell him what has happened. He will want to know about this. He may want to bring a photographer. There isn't a pig in the whole state that is as terrific as our pig. The news spread. People who had journeyed to see Wilbur when he was some pig came back again to see him now that he was terrific. That afternoon, Mr. Zuckerman went to milk the cows and clean out the tie-ups. He was still thinking about what a wondrous pig he owned. Lurvy, he called. There has to be no more cow manure thrown down into that pig pen. I have a terrific pig. I want that pig to have clean, bright straw every day for his bedding. Understand?" "Yes, sir," said Lurvy. "Furthermore," said Zuckerman, "I want you to start building a crate for Wilbur. I've decided to take the pig to the county fair on September the 6th. Make the crate large enough and paint it green with gold letters." "What will the letters say?" asked Lurvy. "They should say Zuckerman's Famous Pig." Lurvy picked up a pitchfork and walked away to get some clean straw. Having such an important pig was going to mean plenty of extra work. He could see that. Below the apple orchard at the end of the path was the dump where Mr. Zuckerman threw all sorts of trash and stuff that nobody wanted anymore. Here, in a small clearing hidden by young alders and wild raspberry bushes, was an astonishing pile of old bottles and empty tin cans and dirty rags and bits of metal and broken bottles and broken hinges and broken springs and dead batteries and last month's magazines and old discarded dish mops and tattered overalls, rusty spikes and leaky pails and forgotten stoppers and useless junk of all kinds, including a wrong-sized crank for a broken ice cream freezer. Templeton knew the dump and liked it. There were good hiding places there, excellent cover for a rat, and there was usually a tin can with food still clinging to the inside. Templeton was down there, now, rummaging around. When he returned to the barn, he carried in his mouth an advertisement he had torn from a crumpled magazine. "How's this?" he asked, showing the ad to Charlotte. It says, "Crunchy." Crunchy would be a good word to write in your Webb. "Just the wrong idea," replied Charlotte. "Couldn't be worse. We don't want Zuckerman to think Wilbur is crunchy. He might start thinking about crisp, crunchy bacon and tasty ham. That would put ideas into his head. We must advertise Wilbur's noble qualities, not his tastiness. Go get another word, please, Templeton." The rat looked disgusted, but he sneaked away to the dump, and he was back in a while with a strip of cotton cloth. "How's this?" he asked. "It's a label off an old shirt." Charlotte examined the label, and it said, "Pre-shrunk." "I'm sorry, Templeton," she said, "but pre-shrunk is out of the question. We want Zuckerman to think Wilbur is nicely filled out, not all shrunk up. I'll have to ask you to try again." "What do you think I am, a messenger boy?" grumbled the rat. "I'm not going to spend all my time chasing down to the dump after advertising material." "Just one more, please," said Charlotte. "I'll tell you what I'll do," said Templeton. "I know there's a package of soap flakes in the woodshed. It has writing on it. I'll bring you a piece of the package." He climbed up the rope that hung on the wall and disappeared through a hole in the ceiling. When he came back, he had a strip of blue and white cardboard in his teeth. "There," he said triumphantly. "How's that?" Charlotte reads the words, "With new, radiant action." "What does it mean?" asked Charlotte, who had never used any soap flakes in her life. "How should I know?" said Templeton. "You asked for words. I brought them. I suppose the next thing you'll want me to fetch is a dictionary." Together they studied the soap ad. "With new, radiant action," repeated Charlotte slowly. "Wilbur," she called. Wilbur, who was asleep in the straw, jumped up. "Run around," commanded Charlotte. "I want to see you in action, to see if you are radiant." Wilbur raced to the end of his yard. "Now back again. Faster," said Charlotte. Wilbur galloped back. His skin shone. His tail had a fine, tight curl in it. "Jump into the air," cried Charlotte. Wilbur jumped as high as he could. "Keep your knees straight and touch the ground with your ears," said Charlotte. Wilbur obeyed. "Do a backflip with a half twist in it," said Charlotte. Wilbur went over backwards, writhing and twisting as he went. "Okay, Wilbur," said Charlotte. "You can go back to sleep." "Okay, Templeton. The soap ad will do. I guess I'm not sure Wilbur's action is exactly radiant, but it's interesting." "Actually," said Wilbur, "I feel radiant." "Do you?" said Charlotte, looking at him with affection. "Well, you're a good little pig, and radiant you shall be. I'm in this thing pretty deep now. I might as well go to the limit." Tired from his romp, Wilbur lay down in the clean straw. He closed his eyes. The straw seemed scratchy, not as comfortable as the cow manure, which was always delightfully soft to lie in. So he pushed the straw to one side and stretched out in the manure. Wilbur sighed. It had been a busy day, his first day of being terrific. Dozens of people had visited his yard during the afternoon, and he had to stand and pose, looking as terrific as he could. Now he was tired. Fern had arrived and seated herself quietly on her stool in the corner. "Tell me a story, Charlotte," said Wilbur, as he lay waiting for sleep to come. "Tell me a story." So Charlotte, although she too was tired, did what Wilbur wanted. "Once upon a time," she began, "I had a beautiful cousin who managed to build her web across a small stream. One day, a tiny fish leaped into the air and got tangled in the web. My cousin was very much surprised, of course. The fish was thrashing wildly. My cousin hardly dared tackle it, but she did. She swooped down and threw great masses of wrapping material around the fish and fought bravely to capture it." "Did she succeed?" asked Wilbur. "It was a never-to-be-forgotten battle," said Charlotte. "There was the fish, caught only by one fin, and its tail wildly thrashing and shining in the sun. There was the web, sagging dangerously underneath the weight of the fish." "How much did the fish weigh?" asked Wilbur. "I don't know," said Charlotte. "There was my cousin, slipping in, dodging out, beaten mercilessly over the head by the wild, thrashing fish, dancing in, dancing out, throwing her threads and fighting hard. First she threw a left around the tail. The fish landed back. Then a left to the tail and a right to the midsection. The fish lashed back. Then she dodged to one side and threw a right and another right to the fin. Then a hard left to the head, while the web swayed and stretched." "Then what happened?" asked Wilbur. "Nothing," said Charlotte. "The fish lost the fight. My cousin wrapped it up tight, and it couldn't budge." "Then what happened?" asked Wilbur. "Nothing," said Charlotte. "My cousin kept the fish for a while, and then when she got good and ready, she ate it." "Tell me another story," begged Wilbur. So Charlotte told him about another cousin of hers who was an aeronaut. "What is an aeronaut?" asked Wilbur. "A balloonist," said Charlotte. "My cousin used to stand on her head and let out enough thread to form a balloon. Then she'd let go and be lifted into the air and carried upward on the warm wind." "Is that true?" asked Wilbur. "Or are you just making it up?" "It's true," replied Charlotte. "I have some very remarkable cousins. And now, Wilbur, it's time you went to sleep. Sing something, begged Wilbur, closing his eyes. So Charlotte sang a lullaby while crickets chirped in the grass and the barn grew dark. This was the song she sang. Sleep, sleep, my love, my only, deep, deep in the dung and the dark. Be not afraid and be not lonely. This is the hour when frogs and thrushes praise the world from the woods and the rushes. Rest from care, my one and only, deep in the dung and the dark. But Wilbur was already asleep when the song ended. Fern got up and went home. Pardon me for just a minute. Change the light. Chapter 14. Dr. Dorian. The next day was Saturday. Fern stood at the kitchen sink drying the breakfast dishes as her mother washed them. Mrs. Arable worked silently. She hoped Fern would go out and play with the other children instead of heading for the Zuckerman's barn to sit and watch animals. Charlotte is the best storyteller I ever heard, said Fern, poking her dish towel into a cereal bowl. Fern said her mother sternly, "You must not invent things. You know spiders don't tell stories. Spiders can't talk." "Charlotte can," replied Fern. "She doesn't talk very loud, but she talks." "What kind of story did she tell?" asked Mrs. Arable. "Well," began Fern, "she told us about a cousin of hers who caught a fish in her web. Don't you think that's fascinating?" "Fern, dear, how would a fish get caught in a spider's web?" said Mrs. Arable. "You know it couldn't happen. You're making this up." "Oh, it happened all right," replied Fern. "Charlotte never fibs. This cousin of hers built a web across a stream. One day, she was hanging around on the web, and a tiny fish leapt into the air and got tangled into the web. The fish was caught by one fin. Mother, its tail was wildly thrashing and shining in the sun. Can't you just see the web sagging dangerously under the weight of the fish? Charlotte's cousin kept slipping in, dodging out, and she was beaten mercilessly over the head by the wildly thrashing fish, dancing in, dancing out, throwing. "Fern," snapped her mother, "stop it. Stop inventing these wild tales." "I'm not inventing," said Fern. "I'm just telling you the facts." "What finally happened?" asked her mother, whose curiosity began to get the better of her. "Charlotte's cousin won. She wrapped the fish up, then she ate him when she got good and ready. Spiders have to eat, the same as the rest of us." "Yes, I suppose they do," said Mrs. Arable vaguely. "Charlotte has another cousin who is a balloonist. She stands on her thread, lets out a lot of line, and is carried aloft in the wind. Mother, wouldn't you simply love to do that?" "Yes, I would, come to think of it," replied Mrs. Arable. "But Fern, darling, I wish you would play outdoors today instead of going to Uncle Homer's barn. Find some of your playmates and do something nice outdoors. You're spending too much time in that barn. It isn't good for you to be alone so much." "Alone?" said Fern. "Alone? My best friends are in that barn cellar. It's a very sociable place. Not at all lonely." Fern disappeared after a while, walking down the road toward Zuckerman's. Her mother dusted the sitting room. As she worked, she kept thinking about Fern. It didn't seem natural for a little girl to be so interested in animals. Finally, Mrs. Arable made up her mind she would pay a call to old Dr. Dorian and ask his advice. She got in the car and drove to his office in the village. Dr. Dorian had a thick beard. He was glad to see Mrs. Arable and gave her a comfortable chair. "It's about Fern," she explained. "Fern spends entirely too much time at the Zuckerman's barn. It doesn't seem normal. She sits on a milk stool in a corner of the barn cellar near the pig pen and watches animals hour after hour. She just sits and listens." Dr. Dorian leaned back and closed his eyes. "How enchanting," he said. "It must be real nice and quiet down there. Homer has some sheep, hasn't he?" "Yes," said Mrs. Arable. "But it all started with that pig we let Fern raise on a bottle. She calls him Wilbur. Homer bought the pig, and ever since it left our place, Fern has been going to her uncle's to be near it. I've been hearing things about that pig," said Dr. Dorian, opening his eyes. "They say he's quite a pig." "Have you heard about the words that appeared in the spider's web?" asked Mrs. Arable nervously. "Yes," replied the doctor. "Well, do you understand it?" asked Mrs. Arable. "Understand what?" "Do you understand how there could be any writing in a spider's web?" "Oh, no," said Dr. Dorian. "I don't understand it. But for that matter, I don't understand how a spider learned to spin a web in the first place. When the words appeared, everyone said they were a miracle. But nobody pointed out that the web itself is a miracle. What's miraculous about a spider's web?" said Mrs. Arable. "I don't see why you say a web is a miracle. It's just a web." "Ever try to spin one?" asked Dr. Dorian. Mrs. Arable shifted uneasily in her chair. "No," she replied, "but I can't crochet a doily, and I can crochet a doily, and I can knit a sock." "Sure," said the doctor. "But somebody taught you, didn't they?" "My mother taught me." "Well, who taught a spider?" "A young spider knows how to spin a web without any instruction from anybody. Don't you regard that as a miracle?" "I suppose so," said Mrs. Arable. "I've never looked at it that way before. Still, I don't understand how those words got into the web. I don't understand it, and I don't like what I can't understand." "None of us do," said Dr. Dorian, sighing. "I'm a doctor. Doctors are supposed to understand everything. But I don't understand everything, and I don't intend to let it worry me." Mrs. Arable fidgeted. "Fern says the animals talk to each other." "Dr. Dorian, do you believe animals talk?" "I've never heard one say anything," he replied. "But that proves nothing. It is quite possible that an animal has spoken civilly to me and that I didn't catch the remark because I wasn't paying attention. Children pay better attention than grown-ups. If Fern says that the animals in the Zuckerman's barn talk, I'm quite ready to believe her. Perhaps if people talked less, animals would talk more. People are incessant talkers. I can give you my word on that." Well, I feel better about Fern, said Mrs. Arable. You don't think I need to worry about her? Does she look well? Asked the doctor. Oh, yes. Appetite good? Oh, yes. She's always hungry. Sleep well at night? Oh, yes. Then don't worry, said the doctor. Do you think she'll ever start thinking about something besides pigs and sheep and geese and spiders? How old is Fern? She's 8. Well, said Dr. Dorian, I think she will always love animals, but I doubt that she spends her entire life in Homer Zuckerman's barn cellar. How about boys? Does she know any boys? She knows Henry Fussy, said Mrs. Arable brightly. Dr. Dorian closed his eyes again and went into deep thought. Henry Fussy, said Henry Fussy, he mumbled. Remarkable. Well, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Let Fern associate with her friends in the barn if she wants to. I would say, offhand, that spiders and pigs were fully as interesting as Henry Fussy. Yet I predict that the day will come when Henry will drop some chance remark that catches Fern's attention. It's amazing how children change from year to year. How's Avery? He asked, opening his eyes wide. Oh, Avery, chuckled Mrs. Arable. Avery is always fine. Of course, he gets into poison ivy and gets stung by wasp and bees and brings frogs and snakes home and breaks everything he lays his hands on. He's fine. Good, said the doctor. Mrs. Arable said goodbye and thanked Dr. Dorian very much for his advice. She felt greatly relieved. Y'all bear with me a moment. I've got to stand up for just a second. Ooh. Crack. Follow him up. See if anyone's paying attention. Hey, Alexander, I didn't see you at the beginning. Welcome. The Crickets, chapter 15. Hey, Miguel. The crickets sang in the grasses. They sang the song of summer's ending, a sad, monotonous song. Summer is over and gone, they sang. Over and gone, summer is dying. Dying. The crickets felt it was their duty to warn everybody that summertime cannot last forever. Even on the most beautiful days in the whole year, the days when the summer is changing into fall, the crickets spread the rumor of sadness and change. Everybody heard the song of the crickets. Avery and Fern Arable heard it as they walked the dusty road. They knew that school would soon begin again. The young geese heard it and knew they would never be little goslings again. Charlotte heard it and knew that she hadn't much time left. Mrs. Zuckerman, at work in the kitchen, heard the crickets, and a sadness came over her too. Another summer gone, she sighed. Lurvy at work building a crate for Wilbur heard the song and knew it was time to dig potatoes. Summer is over and gone, repeated the crickets. How many nights till frost, sang the crickets. Goodbye, summer. Goodbye, goodbye. The sheep heard the crickets, and they felt so uneasy, they broke a hole in the pasture fence and wandered up into the field across the road. The gander discovered the hole and led the family through, and they walked to the orchard and ate the apples that were lying on the ground. A little maple tree in the swamp heard the cricket song and turned bright red with anxiety. Wilbur was now the center of attraction on the farm. Good food and regular hours were showing results. Wilbur was a pig any man would be proud of. One day more than 100 people came to stand at his yard and admire him. Charlotte had written the word radiant, and Wilbur really looked radiant as he stood in the golden sunlight. Ever since the spider had befriended him, he had done his best to live up to his reputation. When Charlotte's Webb said some pig, Wilbur had tried hard to look like some pig. When Charlotte's Webb said terrific, Wilbur had tried to look terrific. And now that the Webb said radiant, he did everything possible to make himself glow. It is not easy to look radiant, but Wilbur threw himself into it with a will. He would turn his head slightly and blink his long eyelashes. Then he would breathe deeply. And when his audience grew bored, he would spring into the air and do a backflip with a half twist. At this, the crowd would yell and cheer. "How's that for a pig?" Mr. Zuckerman would ask, well pleased with himself. That pig is radiant. Some of Wilbur's friends in the barn worried for fear all this attention would go up to his head and make him stuck up. But it never did. Wilbur was modest. Fame did not spoil him. He still worried about the future. And would he be able to save his life? Sometimes at night, he would have a bad dream. He would dream that men were coming to get him with knives and guns. But that was only a dream. In the daytime, Wilbur usually felt happy and confident. No pig ever had truer friends. And he realized that friendship is one of the most satisfying things in the world. Even the song of the crickets did not make Wilbur too sad. He knew it was almost time for the county fair, and he was looking forward to the trip. If he could distinguish himself at the fair and maybe win some prize money, he was sure Zuckerman would let him live. Charlotte had worries of her own, but she kept quiet about them. One morning, Wilbur asked her about the fair. "You're going with me, aren't you, Charlotte?" he said. "Well, I don't know," replied Charlotte. "The fair comes at a bad time for me. I shall find it inconvenient to leave home, even for a few days." "Why?" asked Wilbur. "Oh, I just don't feel like leaving my Webb. Too much going on around here." "Please come with me," begged Wilbur. "I need you, Charlotte. I can't stand going to the fair without you. You've just got to come." "No," said Charlotte. "I believe I'd better stay home and see if I can't get some work done." "What kind of work?" said Wilbur. "Egg laying. It's time I made an egg sack and filled it with eggs." "I didn't know you could lay eggs," said Wilbur in amazement. "Oh, sure," said the spider. "I'm versatile." "What does versatile mean? Full of eggs?" asked Wilbur. "Certainly not," said Charlotte. "Versatile means I can turn with ease from one thing to another. It means I don't have to limit my activities to spinning and trapping and stunts like that." "Why don't you come with me to the fairgrounds and lay your eggs there?" pleaded Wilbur. "It would be wonderful fun." Charlotte gave her web a twitch and moodily watched it sway. "I'm afraid not," she said. "You don't know the first thing about egg laying, Wilbur." I can't arrange my family duties to suit the management of the county fair. When I get ready to lay eggs, I have to lay eggs, fair or no fair. However, I don't want you to worry about it. You might lose weight. We'll leave it this way. I'll come to the fair if I possibly can. Oh, good, said Wilbur. I knew you wouldn't forsake me just when I needed you the most. All that day, Wilbur stayed inside, taking life easy in the straw. Charlotte rested and ate a grasshopper. She knew she couldn't help Wilbur much longer. In a few days, she would have to drop everything and build the beautiful little sack that would hold her eggs. That is it for the evening. Sophie, hi. How are you? Beatable, you loved it. Astrid, you're sad now. Why are you sad? Kathy, 10 out of 10. Thank you. Miguel, thanks. Killer Queen, you're already crying. We all know where this goes. Nadia. Harmony, how are you? Fran. That was terrific and radiant. Love it. Vi, right? Good. SEF, whoop, 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 whoop. Kathy, you almost fell asleep. That's good. Abby, don't cry yet. You know, it's coming. Bonjour. Welcome back. Sophie. Y'all bear with me just a second. I gotta find, there we go. Looks like we got 2 more days of this.